The little dictator, as I call them, the emergency manager that Rick Snyder, Michigan Governor Rick Snyder, put in charge of Flint, poisoned over 100,000 people to save the city $100 a day. Honest to God, you have to check this out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. On the line with us is LaTricea Adams, the founder, CEO, and president of Black Millennials for Flint. Black Millennials #4flint.org is the URL, the website, and the Trifecta 7 or BM #4Flint are the Twitter handles. LaTricea, welcome to the program. Bring us up to date on what happened with this indictment of Rick Snyder, the former Republican governor of Michigan.
Yes, I'm happy to share, but not happy about these results with these charges. First, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a few years now, but we're still forging ahead seeking justice. I want to just start with the charges being actual misdemeanors. That was released very, very late last night, maybe a little close to midnight. For someone to literally make a decision that, has and will continue to impact a whole city of people for generations to come, a misdemeanor is just such a slap in the face. And the slap in the face is to quote the former mayor, Karen Weaver, who worked diligently for years during her tenure to seek justice with the crisis. It is very performative, meaning that I would be remiss not to say that since the settlement is also at its peak, that these charges are kind of adjacent, just to say, okay, we have to do something, but this something is definitely not enough. These consequences are not adequate in regards to the damage that has been done.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. To charge somebody who destroyed the lives of, who influenced the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, probably destroyed the lives of tens of thousands of people, and actually whose actions led to the death of a number of people. There was also a Legionnaire's outbreak as a consequence of this that killed a few people. To charge them with a misdemeanor on par with jaywalking seems to me obscene as well. I'm totally with you. LaTricea, let's, for people who may not be familiar with the situation, lay out the story. This started when a group of Republican lawmakers and the Republican governor decided that they were over it with largely black-run cities, Detroit, Flint, Benton Harbor, and I grew up in Michigan. And they passed a law to let them put their little emperors in charge, to blow away the city council, to blow away the mayor's office, and put a so-called emergency manager in who was just a corporate toady. And then those emergency managers proceeded to try to strip these cities of their assets and sell them off. The whole Belle Isle and Detroit thing and everything else. And it's in the middle of that milieu that the decision was made by the little emperor, by the city manager in Flint, to change their water supply because it would save them some money that presumably they could use to lower the taxes of, like, the DeVos family in Michigan. Do I have that right, first of all?
You have that absolutely right. And to be even more specific, it would save $100 a day. So literally, you destroying the lives of a majority black city. This is just genocide. For $100 a day was the specific number that they were trying to save based on the backs and lives of people in Flint. So I love the word that you use, it's obscene.
Yeah. Well, I think it is. It's by any definition. If you have the name on the tip of your tongue, who was this emergency manager that Rick Snyder put into place? What kind of qualifications did he have, and what has happened to him?
So the emergency manager, actually, there were some charges that were dropped a little bit earlier on in the Flint water crisis, which is unusual that now that the charges are being brought up against Snyder and the health director that is not inclusive of the emergency manager. I think that is on purpose because there is reluctance to actually abolish this process with even placing an emergency manager in, like you mentioned earlier, it just so happens to be, quote unquote, placed in black cities. I think that there are several other culprits that have not been held accountable and brought to the table, and that emergency manager is definitely one of them. I know that it sounds pretty crass, but it definitely is a perfect analogy. When I think about the role of an emergency manager, especially as we think about a majority black city, it's no different than slavery, where you had an overseer, to look out and tell, a master, what has gone wrong in the field. It's completely disgusting, and it takes us back centuries. And then considering the social climate in this country right now, it makes matters even worse.
So, LaTricea, we're talking with LaTricea Adams, the founder, CEO, and president of Black Millennials for Flint, the website blackmillennials4flint.org, and the Twitter handle BM4Flint or the trifecta 7. LaTricea, it seems to me that charging the former governor with a jaywalking level misdemeanor, but getting the headline, former Republican governor indicted, suffers criminal indictment, because, it is a crime to jaywalk, too. That doing that is actually, while it seems like accountability, it's being sold as accountability, it seems to me like this is actually a cover-up. This is, we're going to throw people this bone, and Rick Snyder is going to do his contrition routine on TV and apologize, and then he'll be able to go on with his life, taking, with his new job as a lobbyist or whatever he's doing these days, for no doubt, in bed with a bunch of billionaire corporations and whatnot. Am I being paranoid here? Am I exaggerating this?
I do not believe that you are exaggerating at all. I think that you are spot on. Like I mentioned earlier, I definitely believe that this is performative. I think that it's
like performance art.
Say that again.
It's like performance art. This is just a dance they're doing to cover it up. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then another thing that I want to mention is the fact that when he was still in office during his tenure while he was on trial, that money for attorney fees and legal fees were paid by Michigan, tax dollars. So when we talk about justice and consequences, he needs to reimburse the entire state of Michigan for all of those legal fees, and
so the taxpayers of Flint were paying for Rick Snyder's legal bills?
Yeah, so when he was on trial while he still was the governor of Michigan, taxpayer dollars went to pay for those fees. And see, those are the things that are not being amplified. It's a disaster in more ways than one.
Now, I understand that since Governor Gretchen Whitmer has come in, a Democrat who's running the state now anyway, that most of the lead pipe water lines in Flint have been replaced. Do I have that right?
Yeah, so it's only about 15% or so pipes that still need to be replaced. There is new leadership in the city of Flint, and that was one of his first orders, Mayor Sheldon Neely, when he just got into office at the latter part of 2019. What a ride to go right into COVID-19. But yes, there's just a minimal amount that still remains, but they're looking to have it fully completed before the end of this year, 2021.
That's great. I mean, it's terrible that it happened in the first place. This, by the way, is not this problem is not entirely unique to Flint. This is happening in low-income areas all across the United States. White areas in Appalachia, mostly black areas in cities around the country. But Flint is the poster child for the whole thing. LaTricea Adams, thank you so much for dropping by and sharing this information with us. It's great talking with you. Thank you. And keep up the great work. Black Millennials, number 4 Flint.org is the website, and BM number 4 Flint, don't include the word number, but you know what I mean, the number 4 Flint is the Twitter handle.